Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the On the Pitch podcast with Luke. Luke, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just so excited that the World Cup has started now, and now I have something, and now I have basically an excuse to sit in my basement at 9 o'clock at night, or basically
Or
11:30
about
now,
to
and talk
say
about soccer.
about to say the 11 o'clock kick with Australia and Turkey in 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, not really looking forward to it, but us sickos are definitely going to be there for
Oh,
sure. So,
trying to watch every game I can.
oh, absolutely, any excuse I have to watch some soccer and not have to deal with any BS of real world, I'll do it,
Great.
man. I'm going to use this as my escapism. So. But today we're going to talk about Group A. We've got two games to talk about today, and then we're also going to predict USA's game tomorrow, as well as Canada's game versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about today's matches between Mexico and South Africa and South Korea versus Czech Republic. Luke, which one would you rather start with?
Let's start with the tournament opener. We'll start with the host nation of Mexico.
Oh, absolutely. Um, I mean, this is exactly how I kind of envisioned this
Effectively.
going. Like I said, I sent you a text message earlier, and I also made um a YouTube reel or whatever, and I basically said, "Hey, this is going to be a 2-0 win for Mexico. Them being at home this entire tournament is going to be pretty much the best thing for that team, with not only with the fans, but the altitude, basically everything that it has to do with Azteca is going to help them this entire tournament.
Yeah.
And getting a 2-0 win right from the start is definitely, perfect signs for them going on further in the tournament.
Yeah, you could see, especially the first 10 minutes, right? If you're South Africa with how deep they were sitting, you really had to absorb pressure and try and get a foothold in the game off counterattacks. But conceding the way that they did within 9 minutes to Quinones, yeah, just really set them up for failure. Once you have those lines broken, you have to expand, right? You can't probably hang with a team like Mexico in those situations when the game plan is so staunch on good defensive
Mm-hmm.
discipline.
Yeah.
So it was not really something I didn't expect. It was a team of Mexico who's very comfortable in possession, likes to transition quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and a South African team that was just going to hope to weather the storm and score off a counter. And unfortunately for them, they just really didn't create much.
Yeah, it truly just kind of felt like they were totally comfortable with just sitting in
Yeah,
and letting Mexico possess the ball, letting them move the ball, and they were just going to look for a quick counter. But I really don't even think they had the speed. Like it almost looked like because you would assume with teams that want to do that they're going to be quick on the counter, but it
yeah,
honestly looked like Mexico was just better, like just faster than them, even being able to catch that counter. It was basically just kind of everything kind of fell for Mexico.
with
And
a oh sorry, yeah.
go ahead, no, go ahead.
No, yeah, with Gallardo and Israel Reyes on the outside with those wing backs,
Mm-hmm.
they did a good job at overloading, and it's
Yeah.
very it if you look on it and you can see their defensive shade, they're sitting in like a 4-1-4-1, but it's more of like a five back where they're pushing with wing backs, and they did a good
Mhm.
job at overloading in Mexico. But with South Africa, it was like instead of playing wing backs pushing up in a 3-5-2, it was a pure 5-3-2. They really never found
Mhm.
width. They were very cautious in transitions, and yeah, they were going to try and hold in and sit in, and if you're able to do that, you just can't give away the ball centrally like they did off the first goal to Quinones. And then second goal, center back never checks his shoulder. Jimenez makes a great
Mhm.
run. Good connection off the service.
Yeah, the second goal honestly looked like something off like a practice drill. Like it
Yeah.
just was a perfect little like 1-2 with the finding the forward's foot, playing it back. He plays it out wide, and then he literally just makes a straight
Straight run.
run to the back post, and
Yeah.
it's just a lofted ball, perfect little header. I mean, they make it look so easy because obviously they're
Yeah.
professionals, but it literally did look like something that you just see in a training drill, and it looked like the outside back of South Africa as well as the center back never checked their shoulder, and he had a wide open gap just to exploit and run through.
Well, you know how it is. Both of us being coaches, it's
Mm-hmm.
such a no no, right? Well, with a
Yeah.
center back never checking his shoulder, it's one of the biggest pet peeves of mine. That especially if you're playing a mid 5-3-2 where you have three central center backs, they have to
Mm-hmm.
be aware of the spacing in between, and for him to just shift over and never check his shoulder, yeah. Again, a straight run, straight ball, good service, but it's inexcusable from a situation as a center back never to be aware of your surroundings, right?
Yeah. Now, obviously, this game, two good goals that happened. I will say that Ryan Williams, the goalkeeper
Oh, he's stood
for
on his head.
South Africa,
Yeah.
had three or four
Yep.
absolute amazing saves to keep them in this game,
Agreed.
especially off the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
Raul had that. Raul Jimenez had that volley right
Mhm.
on the PK spot that like Ryan Williams had to make it a phenomenal save to stop it. And he honestly is the only reason why they stayed in that game. But of course, I feel like the big thing that you're seeing it all over the internet is that the fact that we had 3 red cards in
Yeah.
the very first game of this World Cup, when the last
There's
World Cup,
4.
we had 4 in the entire
Since
World Cup
yeah.
last year. We've already
Yeah.
got 3 now. I will say the first red card, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense. I think it mainly makes a lot of sense because he was the last defender and
It's
he
all about
was on
dogs.
a breakaway.
Yep.
So that one I'm 100% for. The
Second
second
one,
one, I actually was super confused on it at first until I saw the slow motion replay.
yeah,
Did you
you
kind
just
of
cannot make
have a
connections.
different opinion on that?
No, I just it's silly or it's rash in those situations. You're
Mhm.
letting your emotions get the best of you. You can't even if it's the slightest of contact and the player's embellishing, you just can't make contact with someone's head. And
Yeah.
especially when you're in possession, you've just released the ball, you're making a striking run. It's
Yeah.
silly, it's nonsensical. So at
So
that point, I think it's fair.
yeah, so when I first had seen it, because it just happened so quick, I didn't think it was
Yeah.
that big of a deal. It was until I saw the referee's like point of view camera where you can see him. Tries to get past that guy, and then you see him put his hand down, like he actually goes down and swipes at him. And I didn't even see that on the original play. So when I
Yeah.
first saw it, I was like, this is crazy. But then finally, when I went back and saw that referee point of view, I was like, wow, what an idiot. Like there was
That's
no need for you to like, he was already around him. Like he
yeah.
didn't need to hit him. So
Just
just
the
a
emotions
stupid.
get the best of them in that
Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
It's
You could
unnecessary.
just, and that was throughout the whole entire game. It kind of seemed like South Africa really, once they got scored on, it it almost felt like they just couldn't get their bearings again. Like they were in this pissed off mood, and you could just definitely tell that like they were done. As soon as that first goal went in, South Africa had nothing, and then they let their emotions get the best of them.
It's all about sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, good.
I was just it's all about, especially as we talk about this as coaches or just people that watch. It's the first 15. It sets the tempo and the tone for the game, right? And especially in a moment that big, you got the whole crowd behind you at Azteca.
Yeah.
If Mexico, you have to come out flying, and they did. But as South Africa, you just have to weather the storm. And if you're going to play out of the back, you have to have a pivot player that the half turn kills me, especially when you're not checking your shoulder. They're pressing with 4 players. You take a half turn in a space that's not there, and you get stuck, right? So
yeah.
If it seemed kind of counterintuitive of wanting to play out of the back, but at the same time wanting to play very stout and direct, right? So I don't think the idea of wanting to play possession-based soccer was really something that was successful for them. And as a group, maybe coming and playing a little more direct, especially in the first 15, wanting to not be in positions where you get caught off and scored off a counter. So it was in those situations where they just did not really stand up to Mexico's pressure.
Yeah. I definitely don't think South Africa leaves this World Cup with a win.
No,
I know they were talking about during the commentary that, South Africa still has a chance of making it as a, best third place team.
And everybody does. I mean, the top 8 at this point is third place finishers. So
yeah,
mathematically they do.
Mathematically, they still have a chance, 1,000%. But when we talk about the game after, the game we're talking about right now, I don't really see South Africa really doing much against those teams either. So I will say we'll finish up the last
red card.
That third red card. At first, I thought, that's a yellow at best kind of thing. Someone was, I was there at Boulevard when I was watching it. Like, I was like, well, he was the last defender, and if he's going to do it for the other team, he's got to do it for them too. But he wasn't truly the last defender.
There's
but he does make a lot of contact.
He does.
It's
not
tough.
making contact with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the 2 South African players running in.
Mm-hmm.
But the angle's not great. And my dad and I were talking about this earlier, where people want referee discretion for them to make calls, right? They don't want to be straight rule book. But then when the call is against your favorable team or a player that you enjoy, then you're frustrated. So you either have to be stout towards the rules, or you have to be okay with the referee having that discretion. Be like, okay, in this situation, Montez doesn't make contact with the ball. He's one of the last defenders, taking a good goal scoring situation away, and it's a red card if you see it straight from the rulebook perspective when it comes to Dogso.
Yeah, because here's the thing: if he doesn't make that contact with him, he's in the box and he's got a shot and he's on goal. So, in a sense, he is Dogso. He's stopping a direct scoring opportunity. And he really did. It was kind of a clump. Like, he didn't need to make that much contact there. He was smart to do it outside the box when he did make the contact. I almost feel like a yellow would have been fine. But here's the thing, like, if it was another team and I was being biased for anybody else, I would have wanted a red card as well.
Sure.
So,
Especially with the first challenge, right? And the
yep,
earlier in the second half with the red.
yep.
When it
So,
comes down to it, he was. I think it was a fair decision for the way the ref was calling the game.
yeah, no, I agree. So it's going to add to the drama to it, but honestly, I don't think it really affected the game. I mean, the red card for South Africa definitely affected it, but Mexico was the better team by far anyway. So I really didn't think South Africa had a chance throughout that game anyway. The red cards definitely didn't help them. I think they finish bottom of this group. I don't think they make it through, but there's still a chance. They're still alive. So
It will be very interesting. I think it really could harm with the group of South Korea that we just watched. With Cesar Montes, your captain, your center back, being out of that game, as that's the next matchup, that could really be the group deciding game. So
you're right.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they pivot from that. What I was talking with a buddy of mine, and they're a lot deeper than they've been in years past. So they're probably going to look at playing Edson Alvarez, their pivot six, who used to play for West Ham.
Yeah,
probably play him at the center back position, which again, they're a deeper team than they've been in years past, but it'll still be different. So we'll see how they're able to deal with that.
Yeah, not having Montez will definitely affect them for sure. He's a great center back. He really is.
Stout, center, strong, old school, simple.
Yep. Moving on to the next one, we've got the South Korea game versus Czech Republic. This game finished 2-1. And honestly, this was not – I mean, I kind of predicted that this would be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
And it very easily could have been a draw, but obviously there was an offsides call that took a goal away. Kind of tell me a little bit about this game. What did you really pull away from this one?
Yeah, especially first half, I'd just say both teams were very cautious. I think both understood with the result of South Africa today that if we could both get at least a point out of this game, you finished with 4 points in the group, trying to say that you're going to beat South Africa, you feel pretty confident about moving on to the next round. So it was a lot more cautious. Czechia was for sure going to be a team using their size and their strength and ability in those situations where they were really absorbing a lot of pressure. Not a team that was taking a lot of chances, but with the size, you could tell that it was going to be difficult for South Korea to deal with that. So set piece of service. First half was kind of, I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but very cautious back and forth. And then it really opened up in the second half.
Yeah.
So I was impressed. South Korea controlled the majority of the game. Heung-min Son up top, creating opportunities. But yeah, I wasn't overly surprised when Krakia, center back from Czechia, was able to put away a finish, just no one tracking him off the run. That was, for me, the only way that they would score is off of this or a long throw, right? Just using the ability.
Yeah, some kind of set piece. Yeah. Especially we have guys like Sucic in there too as well, who are really good.
Kufal being able to put those balls in. Yeah, they had the ability and the strength, and they did a good job of tracking. I will say I'm still trying my best with names. Seong-Yo Kim, the keeper, was able to come twice, really, really strong off of a service over, and then last 5-6 minutes, he was able to parry one far. So I was really impressed with his ability to kind of kill the game in those situations because he was able to keep those 3 points in the favor.
Yeah, he actually, the goalkeeper for South Korea made like 3 or 4 huge saves, especially right there at the very end. He made another one, I want to say around the 80th minute one, where it went through the, he was in the 6-yard box, hit it through the legs, and then he winds up making like a last minute diving with his leg and his right hand, makes a great save, winds up giving them a corner. But overall, I mean, you could definitely tell that the Czech Republic knew that they were going to be bigger and stronger than South Korea, and they definitely used that to their advantage, whereas you could definitely see that South Korea was way more technical and tactical.
And they wanted to possess the ball. Yeah, they did a much better job at breaking down Czechia.
Yes. No, 1,000%. I think the more tactical team won.
Agreed.
But this could have very easily been a draw or even a Czech Republic win.
Oh, I mean, Kovar for Czechia came up big twice against Heung-min Son as well. Yeah, there was the only shot on target in the first half, was able to parry that through, and then the second half when Son was played through, it came up big off a reaction save, hitting off his shoulder. So yeah, the second half opened up really well, and from a neutral perspective, it was a kind of the game I think a lot of us were hoping for as the opener in Mexico, South Africa. But it was very entertaining, and it kind of showed the ability of quality when you're able to open up and not play as cautious. So
yeah. I will say the South Korea's second goal, where they found it out wide. He played it
Early
across,
stages.
and he
Yep.
finds that finish. I felt bad for the goalie
The
on that
reaction.
one because he does get like a big hand to it, but because he's so close and he's in that 6-yard box, the goalie's in that dangerous space where I can't really come out here.
Yeah.
And then it happens so fast. It hits off his foot so fast that he can't get like a second hand to it or parry that out. It winds up
And he did all he
actually
could.
hitting and going in.
As a keeper, right? You want to make sure you're getting as big as possible, and he did.
Yep.
And unfortunately, just the redirection, the deflection took it in.
Yeah. But it was a very fun game. I mean, even for a 9 o'clock kickoff, which I know we're going to have games later on, but for a 9 o'clock game, that was an exciting game for sure. Now, I will say I didn't think I was looking at the wrong person when I was watching the highlights because I didn't think that Czech Republic's second goal was offsides at first until I realized that I was looking at number 20 and not 22. I was like, he's not offsides, and I was like, oh crap, wrong guy.
And it was great connection. Suchek made great connection too. It's just one of those situations where he's just a step off.
Yeah.
But I think either of these teams, I know Czechia will come in with confidence against South Africa. Same thing with South Korea, right?
Yeah.
And that's Czechia's next game. So being the situation, it's a must win for both teams. I think it'll be very fascinating to see if South Korea opens up. Obviously, you're down 2 starters. And with Czech Republic, you gave Korea a very close game and coming in with hopefully a little bit of confidence. We'll see. It'll be an interesting challenge.
Let's go ahead and predict those games now. I know they're not going to be for another 2 or 3 days, but we've got South Korea, Mexico. Woo! What is if you just had to pick right now from what you saw today, what's your score prediction on that one?
I am, from my perspective and from a lot of Mexican fans' perspectives, we not very impressed with the energy brought forth from Mexico. I think they were clinical off the 2 chances, but being the World Cup opener and at home, after they scored that early goal, they just kind of let off the gas, right? Yeah. I don't think they pressed as much as they could. They didn't put them under pressure as much as they could have. I don't know, man. If South Korea comes in early and puts away a finish early, I think it could really be the most difficult game for Mexico out of the group.
I agree.
Give me a 1-1 draw. I could see them both taking away at least a point.
I was going to go with a 2-2 draw.
Fair enough.
I would say a 2-2 draw, and I feel like it'll be a Mexico takes the lead and then goes down 2-1 and then has to fight back and gets it, and then the fans cheer them in and get them back going. So I think we'll finish something like that, like a 2-2 game. I'll go ahead and start this one on Czech Republic and South Africa. With South Africa missing 2 players now with red cards. They've already lost the first game. Czech Republic, probably feels like they could have gotten something out of theirs. I think that Czech Republic can win that one very easily, like 2-0 or maybe even like a 3-1. So I'll go just because I don't think that Czech Republic will score 3 goals. I'll go with a 2-0 win for Czech Republic versus South Africa because I just don't see South Africa getting anything out of this group, and their best chance is against Czech Republic.
Agreed. It's going to be one of those situations where do the teams come out cautious because they know this is a must win, or do they come out just balls to the wall? Right, they come out with a heavy pressure.
I think Czech Republic will come out on I think they'll come out ready to get the win.
There's something that they need to prove, and I think in that game I'm also going to have the Czech Republic winning. I think in transition with Kufal and with the ability of their just the size of it will be a factor off set pieces.
Yeah,
I'm going to say 2-1. I think South Africa is able to score off a counter. I think they have a little more freedom, and they don't feel they feel more confident in that situation. So I'll go 2-1 Czech Republic.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the USA versus Paraguay game and Canada versus Bosnia. Let's go ahead and let USA be the last thing we talk about. Let's talk a little bit about Canada and Bosnia.
Brothers from the north.
I know. Let's talk about America's hat real quick here for a little bit. What do we think about this game? We don't have to get too much into detail because obviously we're going to do a after game show about it, but let's kind of talk about what do we think this is going to do. What do we think the result's going to be?
I was talking about with a bunch of buddies of mine. I mean, when you think about the road that Bosnia has had to get to this situation of the results that they've had to put together and the quality they've had to play, I think for me, I'm coming in with confidence, right? It's always a situation when it comes to not having to go through qualification. You have that with 3 teams this year. How confident you come in. I think Bosnia really gives them the game.
Okay.
For me personally, I got it tomorrow as a draw. I think there's a good ebb and flow. I think Canada comes out with confidence, but they're also down some players that they thought they would have, like a Marcelo Flores, seeing how healthy Alfonso Davies is, Jonathan David. So I think this is
Mm-hmm.
a situation where Bosnia comes out and understands that the road that they've been put under just through qualification. I think it could be a very strong-willed match, and in that
Yeah.
situation, I think Bosnia kind of comes out on top in those challenges.
Okay. So what was the score again you were thinking?
I got a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw. I will
Yeah.
say that kind of fits Bosnia's form right now because I think Bosnia hasn't won an outright game in regular like play, not overtime, since November 15th, 2025, when they beat Romania 3-1. Here
Yep.
are their last 5 or 6 results: 1-1 draw with Austria, 1-1 game with Wales, but they won that in penalties, 1-1 game against Italy, which they won in penalties to qualify for the World Cup. Then they tied North Macedonia 0-0, and then they tied Panama 1-1. So their last actual win was in November against Romania. And
Mhm.
the one before that was against Malta. And the before that was a 2-2 draw against Cyprus. So them having to go through qualifiers probably means they're going to be a little bit more, they're going to be a little less rusty when it comes to competitive matches for
Yeah.
sure. But if I'm looking at their form, I think a draw is probably the best bet you're going to get out of this Bosnian team, especially with who they've played. So I'm not like trying to piggyback off you, but I'm
Yeah.
also going to go with a draw,
Understood.
probably like a
I could even see a
1-1.
zero. I could even see a 0-0 draw. I really
It could be
could.
a 0-0. It really could. Let me
I
look at
think.
Canada's last couple of
Yeah.
matches.
While you do that, let me. I got one thing to add really fast.
Good.
When it comes down to it, I think the American soccer fans, or if you're just getting into the sport, you got to understand you're not just playing for wins, you're playing for points. In the
Mm-hmm.
situation, you're just trying to make it through qualification.
Oh
It
yeah.
is the home opener for the team you're playing against. You're wanting a point, and you're very happy.
Mm-hmm.
You play Qatar in a
Yep.
situation against a team of Switzerland as well. You feel very. Your next game is against Switzerland if you're Bosnia and Herzegovina. You're trying to, in this situation, get a point. You're happy.
Yep. No, 1,000%. There's nothing wrong with getting a point, especially with now that 8 third place teams make it to the
Uh-huh.
next round. You don't have to. It doesn't need to be all guns a blazing going for a win. You could legitimately draw 3 games in a row and make it to the knockouts. Where back in the day, I think it was it New Zealand or somebody like that who didn't lose a single game in the group stage and didn't make it to the next
Yeah.
round. So but Canada's last couple of fixtures, last 5, 1-0 win versus Guatemala, 2-2 draw versus Iceland, 0-0 versus Tunisia, 2-0 win versus Uzbekistan, and a 1-1 draw versus Ireland. So if we're looking at form wise, Canada has 2 wins, whereas
Yeah.
Bosnia has 5 straight draws. Neither team has lost, so they're both in decent form coming into here. So, but again, kind of like what you're saying, just from looking at the form table and what I'm seeing, it's probably going to finish as a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw.
If you're a soccer fan, I don't think you're coming in thinking it's guns blazing. It's not going to be an overly
Mm-hmm.
exciting, in my opinion. I could be proven wrong when it comes to
Yeah.
like chances being created, right? In those situations, I think is you got all the pressures on Canada to come out with strength. You're a host nation. You got to come out
Mm-hmm.
with a good result. If you're Bosnia, you're withstanding the pressure. You're trying to put away a finish off of a counter,
Yep.
and then you're holding your defensive shape. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations. It's going to be very similar to what I think Mexico, South Africa, where it's
Yeah.
not the most exciting game in the world, but it's something that could be positive in a way of a Bosnia.
Yep. And I will say right now on the Thought Mob predicts, it has Canada at 62% win percentage on predicting right now.
Yeah,
So,
I get it.
but yeah, home field kind of thing. And they are difference of rankings, FIFA rankings by 34. They have
Yeah,
Canada is 30 and Bosnia is currently at 64 on the FIFA rankings. So
they have dynamic players. Like I really
they
like Tejan
do.
Buchanan. I like Liam Millar.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan David. Like they have guys. So it's not a situation of like the Canadian
Mm-hmm.
football's grown up a lot in the last decade,
They
just
have.
as same as anybody in North America. But it's going to come to see if they could put away those opportunities that are given. We'll see.
Yeah. This is definitely the most American, or not most Americans, sorry. This is the most Canadians I've ever seen playing in Europe in my entire lifetime. I've never
Yeah,
seen this many Canadians playing overseas. Most of them usually have played MLS or lower England. I mean, now you're seeing guys playing in Scotland. You're seeing guys playing in Belgium. I mean, Canada has really, really beefed up their soccer.
Or in Munich.
Yep, Alfonso Davies for sure.
Liam Millard just gained promotion with Hull City. Kyle Levine playing with Southampton. He's again gained promotion.
Jonathan David at Juventus.
They got guys. Rich.
They do.
So
Swallow. They've got Hull City, like you said, Villarreal. I mean, they've got guys kind of, they're scattered, kind of like the USA players right now. Same thing. But yeah, I mean, this is the best Canadian team that I've ever seen when it comes to playing. So
and
they've definitely made CONCACAF stronger.
Agreed. And coming off of their journey through the 2022 Qatar World Cup being very, very disappointing, they have a lot to build off of when it comes to reputation. So I think they come out strong. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I definitely think playing at home is going to help them as well. Agreed. So moving on to the last one. This will be the last thing we talk about tonight. We've got USA versus Paraguay. Obviously, this is the big one. USA is hosting the World Cup, first time since 1994. By the way, I was born in 1994. So it has been 31 years since the World Cup has been hosted here in America. Obviously, it's been hosted by, the women and things like that, Canada, things like that. But this is the first time the Men's World Cup has been back. So obviously, the first game is going to be the biggest game because that's going to set the tone for this group, because a lot of people probably think, there's no more since the expansion of the 48 teams or whatever, that everyone says, oh, there's no more group of deaths. There's no more group of deaths. Honestly, the more that I've looked at USA's group,
very balanced.
Paraguay, Turkey, Australia, it's very balanced, which means it's basically a group of death, because any one of these teams could get eliminated in this group. Australia is not a slouch. Paraguay is not a slouch. Turkey is not a slouch. USA is not a slouch. Any team in this group could potentially finishes that fourth spot, or even still get eliminated in a third spot. Now, with this group, I feel like whoever finishes third is going to be one of the top 8 teams, because I feel like this is going to be one of the tightest groups of this World Cup. I look at a lot of the other groups, and honestly, this is the one that it's the hardest to predict for me. Yeah. With that being said, I think tomorrow is going to be a ugly game. There's something about playing Paraguay that just makes me scared in a way that it's just going to be a snooze fest 1-0 win for USA. There is something just telling me it's going to be like that. With kind of what I saw against, USA versus Germany, even though we lost that game, I saw a lot of positives, but it wasn't the best game in the world. Yeah. The game that really gave me a lot of positives was the Senegal game. Like, that actually showed me what we could do as a team. But the Germany game then took all of what I thought was positive and kind of crapped all over it. So my prediction for tomorrow is just a slugfest 1-0 win, probably like a late free kick goal. Give me Jonathan Brooks against freaking Ghana in 2018
14
kind of game, or 2014. Oh my gosh, can't believe that's been that long.
12 years, man.
So, but that's what I predict for tomorrow is a 1-0 win for USA versus Paraguay. What do you think?
Again, for like people, if you've never watched CONMEBOL, which is the South American qualification for this, it's absolutely, like you said, a slugfest. It's a knockdown, drag out, knockout fight. Yeah. And if you're Paraguay, you're coming in with the ability to really set the tone, and it's going to be shown with their physical play to start out with. They have dynamic players. Unfortunately for them, they lost one of their best, in Julio Enciso, over the last friendly window.
Yep.
But they still got guys like Miguel Almarion, Sanabria, Diego Gomez, who now plays for Brighton. So a lot of Americans are really overlooking a group like this just because, they're a physical team that will try and knock you off balance. They could still be a very dominant soccer team. So
yeah,
I think the situation, it's going to be a lot closer than people would like. Like you said, maybe 1-0. I could very easily see a 2-1 finish, where I think it's a 1-1 game for the majority, and we put away on a late finish, whether they be off service or in the run of play. But it's going to be one of the, like you said, it's a group of balance. I like to call it that. At any time, any of these 3 teams could win a game. So I think it's going to be a drag out, and hopefully coming in with the right tone setting, you put away an early chance, then you could
Hmm.
control the game and control the tempo. But we'll see. I still also have the Americans winning. So
Yeah. Did you have it as a what you say a 1-0 or a 2-1?
I have 2-1. I think there's an ability off of a counter attack or just through the run of play that Paraguay is able to put away a chance. But I think it's nasty. It's not something that's aesthetically pleasant, and for a U.S. soccer fan, probably not the most convincing. But I
Yeah.
think it's a game that we are able to take 3 points away from.
Yep. And the problem is when I look at all three of these games, every game's a must win
Okay.
because anybody could take points off anybody. Australia could, beat Turkey. Turkey could beat Australia. Paraguay could beat either one of those. So it's one of those where it's just not an easy group. We don't have a Curacao. We don't have a South Africa. We don't have a Haiti. We don't have anybody like that, you know, is a smaller nation that honestly you should get a win at. Each
Yeah,
one of these, anything could happen. It really could. So it's going to make it super stressful tomorrow. I'll be there watching it for sure, but I'm hoping USA can pull off a win. But if it finished as a draw, honestly, I'd be like, you know what? That checks. That could totally happen with this group. So
what are you looking like when it comes to the group table standing? I wanted to get your opinion on that.
if I had to rank it right now without seeing anybody play yet, without any results or
Yeah.
anything, I think it finishes Turkey as the number one spot. I feel like we will wind up getting a draw against them. But I feel like they wind up beating us on goal differential. I think
Okay.
USA finishes as the 2. I think Paraguay finishes as the 3, and unfortunately, I think Australia finishes as the 4. But it's it's a tough group to pick. I mean, Australia is easily that third spot as well. So, but that's who I have. I have Turkey, USA, Paraguay, and then Australia. What do you have?
I'm piggybacking off you. Just again, I like to be a realist, right? I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of taking away 9 points, right? 3 wins, but
Yeah.
realistically, I don't think people understand how balanced Turkey is. I think
Mm-hmm.
in this situation, we have like you say, a drag out against Paraguay. I feel decently comfortable against Australia, against the group
Yep.
that we have. So I think you finish 2-1. I think Turkey actually takes away a win from us,
Okay.
and we get put in a situation where I could see them having 9 points, or we could see them with 7. It just
Yeah.
really depends on how Australia and Paraguay play them. But I have Turkey. I think we finished second, and then it really is a toss up between Paraguay and Australia. But I probably inch it towards Paraguay finishing third, and then fourth is Australia.
Yeah.
I think Australia's just very young and experienced. I think give them a little more
Yeah.
time. They have some pieces, but I think Paraguay's a little more established. They
Yep.
have such
No,
a tough
I
group to
agree.
break. The CONMEBOL is just disgusting. It's just so hard to get out of
It
that
is.
situation.
Yeah.
Where Australia's route is just how it is. But
Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope USA tops the group and Turkey
coming
gets
with
second,
confidence,
Australia
yeah,
gets third, Paraguay's whatever. But I have to be realistic with who I'm going to pick because, that's kind of what we're doing here. I can't just, be biased because
yeah,
of whatever. Like I'm just being realistic on what I see. So,
agreed.
yeah. Well, Luke, thank you so much for doing this, man. I know it's late, so this will be up. Obviously, if you're listening to this now, that means it is the day of the USA game. I'm going to put this on Spotify and YouTube, so it should be posted at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
That's
Please
good.
come back, and we will do this again for the reactions of the games tomorrow for Canada and Bosnia and USA versus, Paraguay. So make sure you guys keep checking in. We're going to do this for the entire World Cup, and thank you so much for watching.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Bridge.